Classical Gold Standard, 1875 to 1914. In a gold standard system, gold alone is assured of unrestricted coinage. There was a two-way convertibility between gold and national currency at a stable ratio. No restrictions were in place for the export and import of gold. The exchange rate between two currencies was determined by their gold contents. Rules of the system. Each country defined the value of its currency in terms of gold. Exchange rate between any two currencies was calculated as X currency per ounce of gold, Y currency per ounce of gold. These exchange rates were set by arbitrage depending on the transportation cost of gold. Central banks are restricted in not being able to issue more currencies than gold. Exchange rate determination. For example, if the dollar is pegged to gold at US, $30 equal 1 ounce of gold. In the British pound, is pegged to gold at €6 equal 1 ounce of gold. It must be the case that the exchange rate is determined by the relative gold contents. $30 equal €6, $5 equal €1. Highly stable exchange rates under the classical gold standard provide an environment that was favorable to international trade and investment. Misalignment of exchange rates and international imbalance of payment were automatically corrected by price-specific flow mechanism. Under the classical gold standard, highly stable exchange rates created an environment that was favorable to international trade and investment. The price-specific flow mechanism automatically corrected exchange rate misalignment and international payment imbalances. Price-specific flow mechanism. Suppose Great Britain exported more to France than France imported from Great Britain. Net export of goods from Great Britain to France will be accompanied by a net flow of gold from France to Great Britain. This flow of gold will lead to a lower price level in France and at the same time a higher price level in Britain. The resultant change is relative price levels will slow exports from Great Britain and encourage exports from France. Arguments in favor of gold standard. Price stability. By tying the money supply to the supply of gold, central banks are unable to expand the money supply. Facilitates adjustment automatically. Price-specific flow mechanism. Arguments against gold standard. The growth of output and the growth of gold supplies are closely linked. Volatility in the supply of gold could cause adverse shocks to the economy. In practice, monetary authorities may not be forced to strictly tie their bands in limiting the creation of money. Countries with respectable monetary policy makers cannot use monetary policy to fight domestic issues like unemployment.
Thank you, Brian. Allow me to discuss the interwar period. The interwar period was between World War I and World War II in the year 1915 to 1944. In this period, attempts were made to restore the gold standard, but participants lacked the political will to follow the rules of the game. They experienced the high inflation rates because government suspended the gold standard. Because of these system difficulties, some countries attempted to restore the previous exchange rates or the gold standard system. However, they remained unsuccessful. The European countries and Japan are those countries behind this attempt, and furthermore, these countries decided on partial gold standard where reserves consisted of partly gold and partly other countries' currencies. This standard is known as the gold exchange standard, but for most part, hindi pa rin ito naging successful, and one of the reasons na ito ay hindi naging successful because their efforts were mostly unilateral. That means countries decided about the standard without consulting each other. And as we all know, International Monetary System or the IMS requires participation and collaborative efforts of different governments of different countries of the world. the world economy characterized by tremendous instability and eventually economic breakdown, what is known as the Great Depression, 1930 to 1939. The Great Depression, lasting almost 10 years, it affects nearly every country in the world, and it was marked by steep declines in industrial production and prices, or what we call deflation. Banking prices, mass unemployment, and sharp increases in rates of poverty and homelessness. International economic disintegration. Many countries suffered during the Great Depression. Major economic harm was done by restrictions on international trade and payments. All countries' situations could have been better through international cooperation. Despite the fact that the metallic system requires good amount of cooperation, the IMS of the interwar period cannot be described as a system because in this period started the disagreements and disputes and the financial problems like recession, banking crisis, and others.